Welcome to Behind the Muscle podcast. Today's guest is an NPC bodybuilder. Today's guest is Trever Burch. Trever, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Quentin.
You're very welcome, Trever. So looking forward to getting to know you a little bit more, my man. Before we kind of get to that point, I would love to know who are a few of your favorite bodybuilders of all time?
Say favorite off the top of my head, I'd say I'm a shapes guy. So I'm gonna say early Ronnie Coleman, 98-ish Ronnie Coleman, and like 2012 Phil Heath, I'd say. Probably 2011, 2012 Phil Heath for the top open guys. And then I would say, because I'm a shorter guy, I'm gonna say Flex Lewis and Derek Lunsford for shapes again, like shorter guys, mass and just pretty physique. So yeah.
Excellent. Okay, now I've got to ask you, this topic has been brought up a lot on the podcast lately, sometimes by myself, sometimes from the guests, but when we start getting into the Olympia this year, which is going to just be absolutely insane, Derek Lunsford, I'm pretty high on him in terms, I don't think he's a dark horse. I think he's a contender, but where do you think he's going to land within, the Olympia lineup this year?
Yeah, this is crazy. Like I've done my predictions like 3 or 4 times, revamped them. It's so hard. And I honestly keep more progress photos I see of Derek. I keep moving him up. I think I started with him at like 8th because I didn't know. Then I seen some updates of his legs and stuff. And I was like, now I have him in like 4th, like right behind like Brandon Curry, like in that 4th, 5th lineup. Yeah. So 4th, 5th, 6th, I could see him definitely running and hitting some big guys down. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Okay. Since we're there and you said you already did your predictions a few times, what's your current prediction right now? I've got to get mine out there on social media to make it official, but where are you at, Trever, with your Olympia
I'm going to say Rami is going to take it just with like how crazy his waist looks. He's just as big and tighter. It looks like he improved his waist, which that's awesome. And then I have Hunter Labrada in 2nd. Yeah, it's been some, so I think he'll make a big jump in 2nd, just with how much size and how young he is. He's been healthy. He's hitting good strides every year. And then I had Brandon Curry in 3rd. And then I'd say either Hottie or Derek in 3rd and 4th. And then I'll probably say like a Nick Walker just for size. Like I'm not a fan, but size matters, honestly, in that open lineup. He's a big guy. And he honestly, he's looking better. Like his waist is looking better and better. He's nailing stuff and dialing it in. And then from there, it's hard. It's hard. Like I can see Bonac, Ian. I could even see Andrew Jack like sneaking in there. But all these guys like 5th on, like no clue. Honestly, like 2nd on, like no clue. But yeah, and then Ian, Bonac, Samson is crazy. Probably rounds out top 10. If you make top 15 in this lineup, like this is amazing. Like it's pretty crazy. Like
where do you have Brandon Curry? Because I think he's always forgotten, and I see him. I think he's on his way out. I personally see him slipping this year because of the young guns, and I don't think his heart's in it really anymore. So where do you see him?
That's a hard one too, because I originally had him in like 7th or 8th, but with some updates that I've seen, so I had Rami, Hunter. I had Brandon up there. I had Brandon up there in like 3rd or 4th, and then it'd be Derek and Hottie, and then it's hard after that. Nick,
it's tough, dude, isn't it, man?
Yeah, so I think he'll still sneak in there. Just with, I mean, political isn't a thing, but it is a thing. Like then they're gonna look at him right away, and with this, there's like 34, 35 guys or something. It's like they're gonna look at the top guys honestly without trying. Like we're still human. And first glance is gonna take it. So
I'm so excited, dude. And everybody that we talk about, everybody that comes on the podcast and we start talking about the Olympia, dude, you can just tell
I'm like
both of us just get so excited. We're like, dude, this is gonna be insane, So
that's what I was saying. Like top 15, like if you make a placing in this show, like that's amazing. Like you can't even call top 15. Like so it's
Good stuff, man. All right. So Trever, why don't you let us know at what age you started lifting weights? And then why did you start lifting weights at that specific age?
Yeah, so I started pretty young, honestly, 12, 13 years old, seventh, eighth grade, for sports. First time I touched a bench, I could bench a 45 on each side. I was like 12 years old, always strong, always super strong, strongest in my class. And then did football, track, and wrestling. So I was pretty big into football and wrestling mainly. And then competed for my first show at 16 years old. And it's pretty crazy, just the eye opener. No one from my town has heard of bodybuilding. Like no one really worked out like a bodybuilder, is all athletics. And then sophomore year when I was 16, so I did my show and I was on the football team. I started varsity as a sophomore, which is pretty crazy for Somerset because they actually went on to win the state championship. But I was starting varsity and I left practice to go work out. So I was training for my show. And they ended up kicking me off varsity. And then I ended up just quitting football and playing like right out there. And then I was going to do wrestling that year. And I was like, I'm just going to do this bodybuilding thing. I'm not going to take sports anywhere. I ended up doing track just because it was like, I did sprints and it wasn't that much time consuming and it was easy. But yeah, I love sports and I love football, wrestling, and track. But bodybuilding was just the way I was going. I knew I wasn't going anywhere with it. And I wanted to get into a training atmosphere, like for my job too, like either physical therapy or a trainer of some sorts or chiropractor or massage. And I ended up being a coach now. So yeah, I'm happy with the decision, but
yeah, very cool. All right. So we're gonna kind of get into some of the nitty gritty more here in a minute, but why don't you talk a little bit more? So you mentioned you grew up playing sports and things like that, but what state did you actually grow up in? Did you grow up in a bigger town, a smaller town? Are you an only child? Do you have siblings? Relationship with your parents? Just talk a little bit about your younger years, your childhood a little bit. Like what was a younger version of Trever like?
Yeah. So coming up, I'd say honestly, like my base strength, I grew up on a farm in Somerset, Wisconsin. So a lot of farms around here and grew up there, always very strong. And then always in some sort of sports from the time I was like 4 years old. I did wrestling, I did soccer, I did them all. So except basketball, because I'm 5'6". So it's probably the only thing. And then just transition into just like I said, weightlifting from there. Like I quit my sports and then ended up going into just full bodybuilding from honestly started training for it at 15 years old. And I've been living the bodybuilder lifestyle since then. Like I remember my mom buying me, because I was like scraping together change to get a frozen bag of chicken. And I remember her buying me 10-pound bags of chicken. And that was like her little gifts to me. I never spent money on anything else. It was just doing the bodybuilding lifestyle. And but yeah, I always had a good relationship with my mom, and she always supported, my whole family supported bodybuilding. They didn't know what it was, but they wanted to see me happy. But I was just a single child through my life until I was about 12. And then, so my dad passed away when I was 16 years old, actually. My mom and dad split when I was younger. And then now I have two younger siblings with a separate father. So, but they're young, so it's cool to see them come up. And my little brother's in wrestling, and they kind of want to work out, and they're getting to that age, like 12, 13, 14 right now. And they're getting to that age where they kind of want to start moving. So it's cool to help them with that. But
okay, now growing up on a farm in Wisconsin, what type of farm are we talking about? Was it like an livestock? Was just crop? What type of farm?
so it used to be a butcher farm, and then we just had a lot of cattle. My mom's old boyfriend, so after they split, she had a new boyfriend, and I was with that guy from I was like 2 years old to 12. So from there I was just literally after school on the farm until like 10 p.m. we'd be like shoveling corn, getting everything ready for the cattle. And I remember butchering cattle when I was like 10 years old, driving tractors and tilling fields. And I was like 6 years old, honestly. Like it's kind of funny because not a lot of people know that. It's fun.
Okay. Now, there's a lot of lessons I think, that young people can glean or gain from, growing up, working, especially like on a farm, because it's manual labor. It's real
Yeah,
work. Like
yeah.
I didn't grow up on a farm, but my mom, she grew up on a farm, and she's just still to this day. I mean, she's the hardest working woman I've ever met. And it's just in her DNA. It's in her blood to
It
work and
creates
to,
that mentality. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just work and take care of what needs to be taken care of. So,
Yeah.
what were some of those things that were instilled in you from kind of the farm life, do you think, Trevor?
Always having, I mean, number one, I'd say like my strength was always there because I was always working and always moving and always doing something, always on four-wheelers and always having some sort of goal. Like I always, even though I worked on the farm, I would trap gophers in the summer when I was like 10 years old on a four-wheeler, cutting off tails of these gophers and selling them to the town hall. It's crazy. Like I'd make anywhere from like $700 to $1,000 as a 10-year-old during a summer, like, and then I'd go spend that on random toys. But yeah, it's I'd say for sure the strength was awesome because I was always the strongest in my grade. uh and that came from there, just the core strength, and then just a drive to do something, I'd say. And now I have my own coaching business, and I just work for myself and work from home, and I personal train clients here in Wisconsin. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, academics, did you enjoy like the academic side of school? Did you enjoy going to school, or was it just kind of what you had to do because that's what we have to do when we're told what to do at a young age?
Kind of both. Like, oh, it's hard. I liked like math, honestly, and like the anatomy and science, that kind of side of stuff. But I was never a social studies or history person, so that's where I kind of struggled. But I took accounting in high school, and I like straight A's through math and accounting and all that kind of stuff. Numbers are always pretty good. Um, but yeah, anatomy is where I kind of my focus and all that. Like I just pick up that stuff really fast, and I enjoy it. Like if you enjoy stuff, you're gonna pick it up pretty easy. So but other than that, like I kind of just was trying to get through high school because I wanted what's next, like after high school. But I was probably a B student all the way through, at least B's and A's. So definitely not bad, but definitely not, I didn't try as hard as I could have in high school. So yeah.
I think that's probably most of us right there. You find something that you're interested in. Most of us it's sports growing up, and you just go to school because you have to. But
Yeah.
now, okay, so before we kind of get fully transitioned into bodybuilding talk, I want to ask you. You started bodybuilding. You said you competed at 16 years old, which that's pretty uncommon.
Yeah.
How did you get exposed to bodybuilding? And I know you said you started lifting weights for sports,
Mhm.
but obviously at some point you got exposed to bodybuilding because by the time you were 16, which is like,
Yeah.
sophomore, junior year in high school, you're competing. So talk about your first exposure to what we call
Yeah.
bodybuilding.
So we had a local bodybuilder around here. His name was Brian Bouvet. He was my first prep coach, and that's who I left my practice to go work out with one day, training for it. But he's a big bodybuilder around here. He won Mr. Minnesota, and he's like 21 years old. Awesome guy. Still talk. He's a trainer at the same gym I go to now, so it's pretty cool. Life kind of circles back around, but he exposed me for sure to that. I was just me and a buddy, my buddy Jared Meyer, my best friend through high school. We got into this sport together. So I had a friend. We always worked out every day together. I couldn't drive. We started this journey at 14 or 15, and I couldn't drive. And he's 2 years older than me. So we drove a half hour to this gym every day, to Brian's gym, and he prepped us both for our first show. I was 16. He'd have been 18, I guess. So yeah, we got on. That's how we just opened up to him, and he took us down this road. So never looked back.
Yeah. So Brian is the gentleman that kind of prepped you for your first competition, right? That's his
Yep.
name.
Yep. Brian.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So Brian, okay. So you guys are kind of going to the gym. So does Brian kind of approach you guys? Like how does that work? Because like when I was that age, like I wasn't going up to some guy that was jacked to try to talk to him about bodybuilding. Like, just walk us through that just a little bit. How did that kind of unfold? And then walk us into actually stepping on stage when you're 16.
Yeah. So I honestly probably would have kept on my sports route if it wasn't for my friend Jared. He reached out to Brian on social media or Facebook and asked if we could work out with him one day, because we were just working out together to try to look better. And then Brian's like, yeah, come to my gym and he'll take us through a workout. And then from that day one, that bodybuilder workout, we just hit it off. And then Brian's like, when's your first show? And we had no idea what bodybuilding was. And so I think it was like a 12-week prep. We're like, I don't know, like, what do I have to do? And then he's like, he picked out a show and we're like, all right, let's do it. So we already had decent genetics. Like, we had abs and we were just skinny, like had a little bit of muscle, but it was cool. So if it wasn't for Jared and Brian, honestly, like, I probably wouldn't be bodybuilding. I'd probably be more down the sports route with it. But I'd still be training or doing something that way. But
yeah. So I mean, what kind of pulled you into bodybuilding then, Trever? Because I feel like for all of us in our bodybuilding experience, like there's different, I don't know if you want to call them triggers, but there's different reasons why we are drawn as men and women to bodybuilding. What was that draw for you initially? And then you've been doing it for so long now, like what kind of keeps you in this game outside of coaching and making a living from it? But what's the draw? What's the attraction?
Draw, honestly, like, just looking good. Like, I mean, it's kind of like a power thing. Like, I want to look better, and it's a drive too, like I kind of talked about. We always want a drive towards something, a goal for something. But honestly, it was just to look good. Like I was saying, like, I had abs in high school as like a 16-year-old, but I wasn't like crazy big or shredded. I was like 150 pounds. And it was just going for the look. Like, I thought it was cool. I had no idea about bodybuilders or who was, like, I had no idea about Jay Cutler or Ronnie Coleman. When I did my first show, I still had no idea who they were. So it was just going for the look. Like, people said I had a decent physique. So I was like, all right, let's try it. And I went for it. And then, kind of picked up from there. So, okay. Yeah. And then,
go ahead.
Yeah. I did that first show at 16 years old, and I only did teens from there. I placed second in teens out of 4 teens. And then I created friends out of there. Like, the kid who beat me, he's a pro now, actually. He's doing pretty well. And then I competed at 16 years old, at 17 years old. I took a year off, and that, like, a year and a half. And then I competed twice when I was 19. I did the Mr. Minnesota and placed first in teens, and then second in middleweights. So it's to another pro. So this other guy that beat me is a pro now. And then I took another like year and a half off and I competed. I was 21, and then I won the teens and lost the overall. And then when's the next one? 22, 23. I think I was 24, and that's when I started winning overalls. So I was 24 years old. I won the first overall in light heavies, and then won the show. And then when was it? The next one, I was 25. I did one in the next year, and then I won that show. And then I did last year, and then I competed and did USAs for the first time. So I'm 27 now. Last year I was 26 doing that one. And then I placed 14th out of 29 competitors in that show. It was just an eye opener. Like, the prep was awesome. Definitely like the leanest I've been, but I had no idea what to expect coming in here. Like, around here, it honestly wasn't that hard to win shows. You just have to look decent. And just going there, is an eye opener to what I had to do to take it to that next level. Decent shapes and everything. It's just the prep was a little rushed. I think we really started hitting it hard at like 10 weeks out. And it was like 2 hours of cardio and 0 carbs from then on. Like, I lost a lot of size in my legs. I was really depleted, and I was kind of over dieted. It's like that, not lean enough, but over dieted and lost some muscle kind of look. And I was still happy just for the, like, the learning experience, which sounds cheesy because I hate that, but it was a learning experience, an eye opener to what I had to do. And that's why I reached out to Cam, and this has been the most successful off season so far. And we're definitely on the right track.
Right.
So,
All right, now let's take a step back. Once you graduated high school, did you go to college? Like how did you begin to, provide for yourself, pay the bills? I know you do coaching and stuff now, but what did those earlier years look like in terms of schooling, education, and pursuing a career?
Yeah. So right out of high school, I went right into my personal training certificate. So I went to NPTI, and within 6 months, I completed that course. It was in person too. So I had to log so many hours and put in so much time. And then I got a NPTI and NASM certification from that. And then, and right away in 2014, I started training people. I went to a local gym and I had like a swim team and a couple grandmas for my first job, like personal training. And I stayed there for a couple months. And then from there, I went to Anytime Fitness, just kind of a local gym in Hudson. And I was there for 4 years, built an awesome clientele, and built a resume, I guess, a track record. And then in 2018, I started my own business. I moved to a different gym and opened my Back by Birch. That's what my, I guess, what I own, my personal training business. And a lot of clients followed me from Anytime, which was awesome because I had like 10, 15 clients follow me off the bat. But yeah, that's what I've been doing since. So probably have 20 to 30 online clients and then another 20 in person, and half and half. And it's awesome so far. Yeah.
So in terms of training people in person, is that something that you enjoy? Because I see kind of the glamorization now through social media of everybody wants to be an online coach. And I do personal training in person. I actually enjoy it. And I have really no desire to do online coaching or prep coaching or anything like that. I like connecting with other human beings face to face in person. So how about you, Trever? Do you enjoy that in-person personal training, or not so much? And someday, are you hoping to do all online coaching?
Yeah, I don't think I could ever give up in personal training. Like I just seeing the person like and correcting the form, and that's why I only take like at any time. I mainly quit there because they wanted me to do group classes. And I'm just not I can't watch everyone's form, and I like to stick on one person. So like I said, I picked up anatomy fast. So I like connecting the dots. Like we're gonna train like this, and this is how the fastest route to get to your goals. And it's nice seeing the people in person, and they have more accountability, and I can see them more often, and I have more accountability for it. But online is also like a whole nother world. Like I get paid just as much online as I do in person. So it's something that I can't neglect because it's there. Like if it's there, you gotta take it too. And I can help people that are like, and I've had people across the country in Texas and New Jersey and Connecticut, and like random people around the state that I just know me on social media, which is awesome too. So depends on the person too. Like some people I know need that in personal training. But some people like myself, like I'm fine with an online coach. Like I know I'm going to execute the plan. But then there's some other people I know they aren't, and they need that accountability. But yeah,
Okay.
best of both worlds. So
What do you feel like in all these years that you've been training people in person? What are some of the things that you've learned about human beings, learned about yourself? Because this has basically been your entire career. Doesn't sound like you've had much of any other career. So what do you feel like are some of those things that you've learned again about humans, about you, about life through training people specifically in person?
Oh, honestly, like I would say kind of sounds harsh, but you can't get too attached to these clients because like one client will be your friend at one moment and something happens and they're gone and they're going to talk trash about you. So that's something. And I'm such like, I put so much time into these clients and I care and end up caring more than they do. And it's hard to see like that relationship get tore down, but I'd say I cared a lot more when I started off. Like I put so much into my clients, and I still put a lot into them. It's just I'm more business related and not so much open, I guess, with a lot. That's probably the biggest thing off. If I could tell my younger self.
Right.
But,
What do you kind of, what does the future hold? Like, what's your vision for your business? How would you like to grow it? How would you like to expand it? Someday, would you like to have coaches underneath you? What's kind of like your ideal in terms of growing this coaching brand and business?
I would say, ultimate scenario would be taking my client, like picking and choosing clients. I mostly do that. I don't promote my business at all, because it's all referrals. And if you do a good job, it's going to represent itself. So I'd say taking like 4 to 6 clients a day around when I'm going to come in to train, and then a decent amount more clients online. So I would say less in person and more online, because it's less time consuming. It's time consuming in like the aspect, like I'm going to respond to all these clients during the day, like text messages and text at 10 p.m. And I don't cut it off really, but yeah, so it's like in personal training, the only way you can get paid more really is by working more. So you got to have more avenues coming in for sure. So yeah.
Okay.
I would say like someday, honestly, like I don't like working for people too. I don't like people telling me what to do, outside coaching, which is fine. So like owning my own stuff, like maybe potentially investing in a business, something like that, like either it's coaching or health related, or the gym. We'll see. So yeah, I'm still young, so we'll see what time tells. So
okay. At some point, would you like to have coaches underneath you, or is that something that doesn't really interest you?
it's a hard one, because I don't know if I honestly trust a lot of people under here that over here that they know what they're doing. A lot of people I know, the way that you can talk to people, you can pick apart that they don't really know what they're talking about. So that's why I like talking to Cam too, because I know he's honest. And if he doesn't know the answer, he's just like, I don't know why your body did that this week. Let's try this. But sometimes people try to have answers for stuff, and I know they're wrong. So it's like, so I know it's hard to trust people with my business too. So
yeah, I get that for sure, man. It's your name and your reputation. And as soon as you invite somebody to participate in that, and well, they're carrying your business name and your name, and it gets a little sticky and messy at times. So all right, going back into bodybuilding talk then. So why don't you, so you had that initial gentleman that kind of introduced you, exposed you to bodybuilding and prepped you for your first coach. Did you have him prep you for some of your other competitions? Talk about some of, you don't have to name names if you don't want to, but how many of your competitions that you've done before you connected with Cam have you had coaches with?
Yeah, so I was with Brian for the first one. And then I don't know why I decided, I knew this other guy and he kind of talked me into training. So I did my second one with someone else. And then I came back to Brian for when I was 19. So Brian's coached me for 3 of those shows, the Mr. Minnesota. And then I did Teen Nationals when I was 19. I placed 4th there when Cody Montgomery was having his reign. So I competed with Nick Walker. He was actually at the same show. Who else? There's a couple big pros that were competing in teens when I was at that show. But after that, I coach shopped a lot, like just finding what worked for me, their styles, and just absorbing knowledge from everyone, really. And I was still a sponge, so young and just taking on everything I could. And I had a different coach when I was 21. And then I had the same coach for 3 shows. I think it was 3 shows in a row, which I won the overall at 2 of them with him. It was awesome. And then at USA's, it was like it was awesome, but I feel like I was missing something. So an awesome local coach around here. So I'd recommend, like, if I was too busy, I would definitely recommend my clients go to him. But it was just kind of time to move on. No hard feelings or anything. And then I reached out to Cam, and right off the bat, Cam's like, we got to get you healthy. So right out, like, it took a 5-month health phase, and which is awesome. So my wife loves that too, like doing this health phase stuff and making sure I'm good to go and not just guessing and pushing everything. So that was really cool to see. It sucked because I dropped, I was only 10 pounds above my stage weight, but obviously not shredded, like at the end of that health phase. But now we're the bigger than we have been and leaner in the off season. And then from 2021 until I'm with Cam. So it's been awesome so far and really good, very knowledgeable. So.
All right. So before we get to talking a little bit more about Cam, I want you to talk a little bit about this health phase stuff. This is fairly recent new terminology that is popping up on the bodybuilding scene, and I absolutely love it. You know, a couple of years ago, there was no such thing as a health phase.
I had no idea what blood work was. Yeah.
Or maybe it was called something else, but you know, there's always things that are changing, evolving, and different names. But anyways, what did this 5-month health phase with your coach Cam Cheek? What did it entail? What did it look like? And I want you to expound a little bit more, Trever, in terms of the importance of these health phases, because you hear the top IFBB pros starting to talk about it. I think it's very important. I think for the younger listeners and people that are watching this that maybe look up to you, and some of you competitive athletes, like talk to us about or talk to them about the importance of these health phases. So first of all, what is it? What did this 5 months look like for you? And why is this very, very, very important for bodybuilding athletes?
Yeah. So basically right off the bat, like we looked at health markers. So we did blood work and we looked at health markers right away. And my blood pressure was super elevated coming off my show. And we knew we just had a detox really. So it's pretty much like a detox. Make sure your kidneys are functioning, your liver is functioning, all levels are in range or in healthy range. Rather be them at the overly healthy range, because when you end up pushing back, then you have a little bit of give, a little bit of leeway, because you know you're gonna do some damage. But so right away, we came off all the supplements. We kept cardio in, and we added a bunch of just health supplements like magnesium. We upped fish oil. We went going on a lot of Revive products, like the blood pressure and kidney, GI support, and just getting everything aligned. So when we do push, we're getting more out of that push. In this health phase, it was originally supposed to be like 3 to 4 months. But by the end of that, we did blood work and I was still out of range a little bit. And Cam's like, let's get this perfect. So when you do push, your body's super responsive. And it was. So as soon as we started pushing, my weight just went right back up. I filled out. I was just as lean. And I knew I was healthy and I felt good too. Like mentally, I felt clear. I didn't feel like my blood pressure was super high, like I was going to pop or anything. And it was good. So we did a little push to see, just a moderate push. And then we did another health phase, just like a shorter health phase. And my blood work was awesome after that push. And then we're in our next push right now. So we're only in our second upcoming right now. And this has been the biggest and leanest I've been for an off season so far. And I know I'm healthy too. And I know I can do this for a long time. I'm not maxing out my tools. I know I have a lot in reserve left. And it's just not putting all your chips on the table right away. It's like squeezing out the sponge. You can only squeeze so much out of a sponge before you're out of options and you're done from there. So yeah.
And so then for somebody that's listening to this, that's younger, older, whatever, why is it important for them to, if they haven't gone through a health phase or these health phases, or if maybe they're with a coach that the coach doesn't even know what this stuff is, why is it important for athletes, competitive bodybuilders, especially on the PED enhanced side? Why is it vital and important for them to be connected with somebody or doing it themselves in terms of these health phases?
Yeah. The biggest thing is just not guessing, like having to guess why I'm pushing this much stuff. Maybe your body's already super responsive to a low dose of testosterone and there's no reason to push to a gram. Like some of these guys just do it because their coach says it's the right thing to do. Like, well, why? Like that's what a lot of younger people, older people too, just if you're new into the sport, you have to ask your coach why. Like, why are you doing this? Why am I at this dose? And if they can't answer, then maybe it's time to move on to the next thing. Like little things like that, like that'll push you farther. And you want that coach to want the best out of you. You don't want that coach to just want to push everything on you and wanting to blow you up and go pro right off the bat. You want that coach to see you in it for the long run. You don't want them to, be in your short.
So before you got connected with Cam, had you ever done any type of health phases, or was this the first time?
This was the first time that it was like really directed. So I've done them on my own. Like after every show, you come off all your supplements completely, but on your own too, or with other coaches that I've had do guidance, they don't do blood work with you, or I wasn't doing blood work on my own. And I knew I was just pushing to push. I didn't know why I was pushing. You weren't, and just with having a coach direct you, you can check the boxes and know they're being checked for the right reasons. And it speaks for itself too. Like the progress has been the best progress I've had. I've made awesome progress before, but I didn't know how my blood work was. I felt worse, honestly. Like mentally, you start to feel a lot worse. You feel symptoms, and you feel like you're just on edge, like on stuff. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, before we turn on the mic, I had mentioned to you that your coach Cam, he's been a guest on the podcast. I've had tons of his athletes on. The way that I found you is through some of your recent update pics on Cam's Instagram stories. So I have a lot of respect for Cam. I think what he's doing is great. I think the athletes that he's producing and coaching and helping you guys are great. So, and I've had a lot of other elite coaches on, and a lot of them are all connected and speak very highly of Cam. So the question I want to ask you, Trever, is out of all the coaches out there, man, I mean, you being a coach yourself, why did you decide on Cam Cheek to kind of be that next coach to kind of take you to that next level in terms of being a competitive bodybuilder?
Honestly, it was his resume right off the bat. Like I know he didn't have a lot of crazy big bodybuilders, but he was producing good results. Another thing is he didn't have, sounds cheesy, but not a ton of followers. So I wanted someone that could have time dedicated to, and I knew that they could respond within a certain amount of time and stuff like that. So, and I knew he was into the health phase stuff. The more the route I wanted to go with my clients, I kind of match our personalities too. I knew the style he was training, and I knew my style, and they meshed well. So I reached out and we had a long talk on the phone, and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. Like I'm ready to go. Yeah.
Cool. So in your estimation, what makes a coach great in terms of a prep coach?
Makes them great. I'd say, setting, the thing I like with Cam is we set small goals and we set long goals too. So I haven't done a prep with him, but I know for so far we've set like a timeline on what we want to accomplish, and then we review. And he asked like, hey, is there anything I could be doing better? Is there anything you could be doing better? He's always asking for like biofeedback, which is awesome. And then I carry that into my clients too. Like Cam has taught me a lot that I can transition over to my clients, and it's all worthy information too. So setting guidelines and timeframes to hit these goals, and definitely just being conscious about why we're checking these boxes too. Like we're not just pushing stuff to push stuff, and we're being methodical in our training. Like we're not overtraining, but we're setting those boundaries to where we can recover within our time frame. Like for me, I have to grow my arms and legs, so I'm on 2 arm days a week and 2 leg days a week, but recovery has to be there. So sometimes I'm like, hey, like my knees are beat up this week. What do you think I should do? And he's like, well, just take a set off this one and do a hamstring exercise and place it here. Or same thing with my arms. Like I need my arms to grow. So they're like, hey, my elbows feel a little beat up this week. And then it's like, maybe I'll just take chest off this week and just make sure I can still train my arms. So my chest and back personally grow. I can connect really well with them, and they grow pretty quick. But it's just prioritizing muscle groups, picking apart our physique. So,
last question, kind of about coaching, and then we'll get back into some training and bodybuilding, more competition talk. But so you kind of had a coach from the get-go. What's your personal opinion or perspective if somebody knows they want to compete, they've never competed before, they maybe probably don't really know a whole lot outside of YouTube and social media stuff? Do you suggest, or is it your personal opinion, Trever, that somebody should hire a coach right away if they want to get into competitive bodybuilding? Or do you think it's okay to maybe try a show or two and a prep on your own and then go from there?
I think having some sort of local coach, someone that can keep an eye on you, would be best case scenario. Even if it's someone with not the best, credentials, you need someone to just keep a second eye on you, within reason too. But I think even going in deeper, like some people are like, they wait off to do shows too long. I think everyone, if they want to get into bodybuilding or want to do a show, I feel like you should just do it. You need to feel out the ropes. You need to get into this atmosphere. And that's going to spark a lot of motivation right off the bat. And you're going to like really dive deep into it. You're going to see what it's all about. And that's kind of like what happened to me. It just like rippled from there, and you get better and better. So too many of these guys, within reason too, like too many of these guys take too long to get started, and by then they're just feeling out the ropes, but they might even not look as good as they wanted. And you just got to get in there, get going, get moving, and then make corrections as you go, I think is the personal best.
Great advice. Okay, so getting back into a little bit of your competition history. So you competed at the USA's in last year, 2021. Am I correct on that? Okay, yep. Cool. So, and I think you said you got 14th out of like 28 or 29 people. So just touch on a little bit more. What was your overall takeaway? I know you said, around your area and most local competitions, within reason, there's any more in open men's bodybuilding, there's not a lot of competitors. It's pretty easy to get your qualification. And then what most guys say is kind of what you said. You go to these national pro qualifiers and most people get stomped, and it's humbling. But what was, I guess, a little bit more in depth, your overall takeaway from USA's, and did that change your perspective on bodybuilding at all?
I'd say like going into USA's was awesome because one of my critiques was just you needed 4 to 6 weeks more in the grind, and you would have been first callouts. So everyone was really close in there. I was just needed to be more shredded. My muscles weren't popping like they were. My size was good. My presentation was good. It was just spend more time in the grind. So from there, that's eye-opening because I know I could have beat a lot of these guys. I know my structure and I know my potential. And everyone, obviously thinks the best of themselves, and you have to, but I think I have a lot more to give than a lot of those guys that I had that beat me on stage. So I guess time will tell. Time will tell when I do my next national show and when I'm dialed in. And yeah, so.
Did getting that 14th place, did that kind of light a fire underneath your butt? Did it give you a little bit more passion for bodybuilding, or was it a little bit of a setback? What was it for you, like mentally?
I would say it for sure gave me a little fire because I know I could have been better. That was the thing too, is you go into it with high hopes, not knowing what to expect. And yeah, you get crushed, but I know I could be a lot better. So I just have to prove that the next time that I'm up there. So.
Okay. So have you and Cam, Trever, talked about kind of like your game plan? You guys took all of 2022 off, right? This whole year?
Yep.
Okay. So are you planning on stepping back on stage in 2023? If so, what are your guys' plans at this point?
Yeah, so we're in our second push phase. This is going really well. So we're like halfway through this. And then we'll push through January. We'll do a little health phase. And then we'll do a long prep. We're going to do like a 26 to 30 week prep. So we know we're ready, like a super long prep, and do nationals in 2023. So a whole year from now still, we're going to pre-plan for. So I got to do a qualifier again. And whatever one I want to jump into right before nationals, but we'll plan on coming back to nationals and leaving a mark too. So we don't know where our weight's going to fall. He says we could possibly slip into light heavyweights. I'm sitting around 240, like decently lean. So I'd say if we push up to 245 to 250, like that's going to be pretty crazy to get to light heavyweights, but we'll see. So, I mean, that'd be best case if I could get into that class too. So
cool. Awesome, man. Now with this extended, off season or break from competition, I mean, mentally, when you have those, kind of like it's Groundhog's Day, right? Like every day is kind of the same. If you're taking this serious, which I know you are, how do you kind of deal with that mentally, Trever? Do you ever get sick and tired of all the eating and the training and kind of the lifestyle, or is this just what you love and you're passionate about it and it's no big deal?
yeah, for sure. So motivation isn't always there. I just got to do it, honestly. Like I know my game plan, I know my workout I have to do. So you just execute, but food digestion starts to get slower the heavier you get, for sure. So I've had some days where I'm just like, I'm sitting there for a half hour eating, half hour, 45 minutes eating, but you just do it. Or what is cool is I can just mix and match macros to fit my meals. So Cam's all cool with me because I know what's going to sit well, and I just adjust. Like if I need to hit 100 grams of carbs, I'll adjust with cream of rice and like bagels or something just to get it in, stuff like that. And we've done that a lot. But yeah, motivation always, it's not there. It's probably half and half. Honestly, I have really half good days, half bad days, but I get it done either way. So, yeah.
So what's your long-term goal in terms of bodybuilding? I'm assuming you want to get your pro card, and then do you have aspirations of being a competitive pro? What does that kind of look like, Trever?
Long term, ideally, honestly, pro card in 2023 would be best case scenario, and then I'd probably take a year or two off and then go into 212s. I don't see myself being an open bodybuilder, but I think with because I'm 5'6", at 212, that'd be and with my shapes, like I got a good V taper, that's always been my thing. A smaller waist, like big lats. I think I could do some damage in 212 for sure. So just time. It's just time in the grind. So not giving up. So I know a lot of guys with worse looking physiques have done better. So it's just, if you have a decent looking physique and you can improve that physique to be at that same weight on stage and in shape, there's no reason why it should be denied. So yeah.
Okay, cool, man. All right, let's talk before we wrap it up here, Trever. Let's talk a little bit of about training. How has your training? What were you kind of training like initially when you were a teenager, and then how has your training kind of evolved over the years? What does it kind of look like current day?
It's evolved a lot. It's even by the year, and honestly evolves. So I definitely started out just trying to get strong, like right off the bat. So I was benching and squatting and deadlifting. And then from there, I started to get more methodical. I started to get more into the reps. I'd still do my heavy stuff, but I'd do just 5 sets of 20. Like that used to be my thing, like 5 sets of 20. I'd get my heavy work in the start, and then 5 sets of 20. And then over the years, it's definitely developed into like 1 top set, 1 back off set. So I picked up a lot of Jordan Peters, like training style. I was on his app I'm still on his app for years. I was on there since like 2018, picked up a lot of knowledge from that Train by JP app, ton of stuff. But yeah, 1 top set, 1 back off set, usually a heavy one and an intensifier, like a drop set, rest pause, cluster sets, widowmaker sets, like that kind of stuff. And then now it's kind of a mix, honestly. Like it's always 1 top set, I'm trying to keep my strength that I can build upon, I can measure. And then I have some intensifier, and then that's usually the first half of my workout is a top set intensifier. And then towards the end of my workout, it's like a little bit more pump work, like metabolic work, I guess the phrase people are using now, like the 5 sets of 20 and 3 sets of 15, like that kind of stuff to end with. That I've been doing more. So, and I've been liking it. Like it's coming back to it and getting good results so far. So it's always adapting, and it adapts by the day too. If my knees are hurting and I'm supposed to go heavy, it might just be a slower, feel it, squeeze kind of day. Like, yeah.
Now, within your sets and reps I mean, where's your mind at? Are you really a proponent of that mind to muscle connection and feeling those muscles working and trying to find movements that specifically work best for you and your structure, or not necessarily?
Yeah, so it's always a fast concentric, control eccentric. In the start of the workout, it's always power based. So hard up, control down, not really a ton of squeezes. And then towards the end, it's always make sure I'm getting that connection still. And then within that, for my workouts, it's always, I'm a big component of just aligning muscles like origin to insertion. So get my lats shortened as much as possible and try to train that as hard as I can. So.
Okay. Excellent, man. Okay. Now you said arms and legs are kind of the two areas of your physique that you're trying to bring up, since USA. So why don't you give us what are some of the leg movements, hamstring, quad movements that you have kind of found that work best for you and you've seen some results with? And then what are some of those movements for arms that you found that work best for you or giving you the best results?
Yeah. So I probably have a lot of mixed reviews on arms for sure for a lot of people, but for legs, I've noticed I got my knees hurt, like from track, like I got my meniscus tear, my knee that just a little beat down. So I wear knee sleeves and do all that stuff. And so I always warm up with the sled, like reverse sled walks, and get my knees moving first. And then, I mean, before that, I always foam roll, do that kind of stuff, try to wake up a little bit. And then I do the sled, and then I always warm up adductors. So it's literally the same workout every time. I do adductors, seated leg curl. I do leg press first because I get the most output on my quads without my glutes taking over. So like some people like squatting first. My low back and hips will just take over. I'm strong in there, but I notice with a leg press, if I start with it, I can really pre-exhaust my quads. So then when I go into the squat, I'm already pre-exhausted and they're just wrecked. So whatever I do from then on, and then I always end on some sort of leg extension and then a split squat or a lunge. So to end. So always unilateral work. You need some sort of unilateral work to develop equally. And that's the staple workout every time. Same exact, it might, like a leg press might change to a different leg press, but it's that same platform of workout style. And then for arms have always been I've noticed like just supersets, like just getting as much blood flow into my arms as possible. So kind of the opposite, it's like I'm contradicting myself, kind of the opposite with arms. I'm just trying to get a feel because arms for me, like I can't get a good connection. So I have to really like focus on feeling. I can't go crazy heavy or else I'll just start feeling my elbows and stuff like that. So a lot of supersets, and it's always like 3, 4, 5 sets and just really pumping them up, getting as much blood in there as possible.
Okay. What's going back to coaching in terms of like, I kind of like some of the, I like asking some of these questions just because it kind of gives a different perspective for people. But what are like some of your, I like to ask people, and I'll probably ask you this here in a minute, in terms of like pet peeves in the gym. But because, you've worked with, quite a few different coaches, you're a coach yourself, you kind of understand that game, you've been training people for a long time. What are kind of some of your pet peeves, like nowadays within the coaching space specifically, like prep coaching? What are some of your pet peeves that when you get on social media or you hear about other coaches, what they're doing or not doing, what are some of your pet peeves, or what are some of the things, Trever, you wish maybe would go away or people would change or adjust?
Let's see. So right off the bat, I'd say when people have to have an answer for everything, I'd say you don't have to have an answer for everything. You can be like, hey, like, let me research this and see. A lot of times you'll see coaches just ramble and they'll just keep talking and talking until you think that you're satisfied. I think that's probably number one. Number two, probably like we went back to that health phase stuff, like when people aren't doing like checking the boxes for their clients, they're just guessing. You see that? Like I've seen some other coaches, like clients come to me and they're like, hey, my coach gave me this. for prep, and all their drugs are laid out from 20 weeks on all the way through the show. Like, your drugs are laid out. Like, why are they laid out like that? Like, why are you at this dose at 2 weeks out? Like, I've seen that a couple times, probably number one to number two. And then I'd say even going into the gym atmosphere, like seeing people in the gym, I'd say pet peeves would be say like hi and say your thank yous, hold the doors, like do that little stuff. Like, I try to wave and say hi to people. I try to make eye contact so I can say hi. And some people make eye contact and I'll say hi and they don't say hi back. And it just really bugs me. Like, I'm trying to be nice. Like, I'm trying to make it like an open atmosphere for you to come in, that kind of stuff. And then just stuff like putting your weights away. Like, it's really bad at our gym. So it's kind of funny, because people complain about it and then they keep leaving their weights out, but then they'll write about it on social media. like just put your weights away. And
yeah. What a wild world in terms of fitness and gym and bodybuilding culture that we're living in nowadays. Let me tell you, it's weird. It's interesting to say the least. Now, what's I had a gentleman on just earlier this week. I just released his episode today that has a gym in Madison, Wisconsin. And I know I already knew, but he kind of reiterated with me, like, the fitness scene in Madison's really big. They got the CrossFit games there and stuff. But generally speaking, in Wisconsin, like, what's the bodybuilding scene? I mean, is there really one in the state of Wisconsin or not?
Around here, it's a thing, but it's not crazy big. I'd say it's bigger to be noticed on social media. Like, you see a lot of like just in shape 20-year-olds. It's more that kind of stuff. You don't see a lot of bodybuilders. You don't see a lot of people crazy dedicated. There is for sure, but I'd say this scene is bigger for sure with the younger, like, I'm just gonna do my TikToks and that kind of stuff, which is fine. Like, do your thing. But I mean, teach their own kind of stuff. So I'd say that's why I gym hop and do this kind of stuff and go to gyms in Minnesota and just change the atmosphere. And my gym's awesome. My gym's actually pretty good with some competitive bodybuilders and competitive like females. But you do see a lot more kids now upcoming. So yeah. I'd say when I started, we were just doing bodybuilding. Like, we didn't have social media really. I didn't even post on Instagram coming up. It was just, I was doing it for me. And I see a lot of kids just doing it for them. Like, they want to do it for them and be noticed. And if they didn't have social media, they wouldn't be here. Like,
yeah, like I said, man,
that's a weird world.
Times have changed, haven't they? Yeah. What's do you have any like favorite like, if you walk into a gym and you see, like, this old school Cybex or whatever the kind of the new brands are, like, what are some of the brands, old, new, when you walk into a gym, if they have it, you're like, oh man, I can't wait to use this, or I wish the gym would have this line. What are some of those brands or pieces that you kind of like, Trever?
I'd say for sure, the gym I train out of, the owner, his name's Chris Spafford at Midwest Health and Fitness. He's always bringing in new equipment and old school stuff. So he really likes the old school stuff. A lot of Cybex, a lot of Flex Fitness, just unique pieces that are rare and really expensive now, because people know they're rare. But it's awesome. My gym's awesome for legs, awesome for back. Everything, you can get everything done for sure. It's just a lot of old school pieces at my gym, but I do really like the Strive and Prime stuff. Just being more like biomechanical, like intertwined, like using the resistance patterns to fit your body, and using the lengthened positions to target your lats a little bit deeper in the stretch and stuff like that. So I'd say Cybex and like Flex Fitness and Body Masters is awesome, and they're always going to be smooth and going to wreck you, and they're always super heavy. But it is nice bringing in some Prime stuff and new age stuff. My favorite leg press as of right now is at a gym I just started training. It's Atlantis hack squat. It's one where you can make it like linear too, and it really takes the load off your back and puts it like you can like really feel your quads and without my knees kicking in. So yeah.
Do you have any go-to YouTube channels that are bodybuilding or fitness related or coaching related that that you kind of spend a lot of time watching or consuming the content? If so, which ones are they, if you don't mind, Trever?
I watch a lot of YouTube stuff. So I'd say for sure, like Fuad's podcast on all this stuff. It's been awesome. Just seeing bodybuilders interact. It's cool because you can see their personalities. It really opens up the bodybuilding atmosphere. And C-Bum stuff for sure is always a hit. I watch a lot of like John Jewett. As of currently, I've been doing his course, the J3 University. So I'm going through that right now and been really diving deeper into his stuff. Who else? And just your favorite, like Derek Lunsford. Like I like watching his, like how he trains. Like it's crazy how his physique looks like that, but he just trains heavy and hard. Like he's not really doing these squeezes and stuff that is like newer age stuff. He's just training hard, squatting, front squatting, like doing all this stuff, doing all the heavy movements, and it works. Like that's the thing about bodybuilding too, is there's not one way that works. Like try it all, see what works for you, and then roll with it.
Yeah.
So
cool, man. Well, I think we covered quite a bit in just about the hour that we've been chatting here, Trever. So I think we'll kind of wrap it up there, man. Before I do a quick outro and let you go, if you have any final thoughts, any final words to leave with us, I'm going to turn it over to you. Why don't you also give us your Instagram and anything else that you want to kind of, again, leave with us? Platform's yours, my man.
Yeah, this is awesome. Just bringing me on, getting like amateur and pro bodybuilders out there. It's huge. Just to know your face and know there's more out there and what people are going through. And like your YouTube says, like everyone has their story behind the muscle. But yeah, my Instagram is just Trever Burch. It's TreverBurch. And then, yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And Trever, if somebody wants to, reach out to you in terms of coaching, or maybe they're in your area, they're in Wisconsin and they want to maybe train in person or something like that, is Instagram the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, I'm always on Instagram. Social media, you have to nowadays. Like social media is everything. Like I'm on it too much, honestly. Like, yeah. Yeah.
Aren't we all, man? It's like you said, it's kind of the world we're living in. Either you adapt or, you just, I guess, die, as they say, right?
Yeah,
so
kind of, yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, Trever. I'm going to do a quick outro, man. Then I'll let you go. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. All of you who are tuning into this episode of Behind the Muscle podcast, I just want to say thank you so very much. I appreciate all of you. I value all of you. And as I always say, and will continue to say, the podcast would not exist if it weren't for all of you just continuing to support the podcast, following us on Instagram, subscribing on YouTube, sending all the positive feedback, the comments, the DMs. I just want to say thank you so much. You guys are awesome. The podcast, the Instagram, they continue to grow. It's all organic. There's no advertising, no gimmicks or nonsense. So again, I appreciate all of you guys. If you guys have not done so already, please make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. That's really important because I release all of these BTM episodes first on YouTube, and then I distribute them to iTunes, CastBox, Podbean, and some of the other major podcast platforms. So if you want to stay current on all the BTM episodes, make sure you are subscribed to us on YouTube. And then also, please take this episode of Trever, share it on your Instagram stories. Make sure you tag Trever, tag Trever's coach, Cameron Cheek. And then also make sure you tag Behind the Muscle podcast so that we know you listen specifically to this episode and found great value in it, in which I know you did. And then finally, I will leave you all with this. Remember, behind the muscle, there's always a story. We'll catch you guys later.